Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to Three Digit World Cup 2026, where we are headed into our first winners bracket match of the week. And it is set to be a wild one. We have number 3 seeded Chile. We have number 11 seeded France. Both victors on tiebreaker last week. And two teams that are always striving for these spots in top 8, top 6 in every World Cup, battling it out for a spot in the semifinals against one another. I am excited for this one. I think it's going to be a heck of a match. You can take basically nothing away from what happened last week. This is just a brand new day, brand new pool, brand new matchup, and we're gonna have a good time. I'm this one guy. Joining me for this one is none other than Mr. Miles. Good morning, Miles. Chile, France. Let's go.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm super hyped for this match. I mean, seed 3 versus seed 11 might look like a pretty big gap on paper, but these teams are really joined at the hip. I think you took some stats right before this, comparing their maps from last week, and they just had such close margins on the maps they share. I think alternating who won each pick, right? Like, these two teams, I think, are going to have a wild time on this pool. Neither of these teams are super specialized. Everyone's very well-rounded, and that could make for some chaos in this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, to briefly intro, of course, the teams: Chile, captained by Alfiu with Gonza, Fefe, Nekore, and Hana Yume. France, on the other side, captained by long-term top tournament player Musty, alongside Hifkill, Satsuki, Thunder, Japwe, and Lonk Noir. And indeed, they were such close teams in terms of their results last week, and they have some really interesting stats to go along with that. In the specific head-to-head, 8 maps in common, both teams of course playing 11, so they had almost identical picks in their matches, each won 4 and lost 4 against the other, most of those being relatively close as well. I think the biggest gap in any score between these two teams was like 600,000 or 700,000 points on the No Mod 3 in favor of France and on the Free Mod 3 in favor of Chile. So as you said, super close in terms of the map performances. And also, very interesting, one of the more peculiar stats I think I've ever seen, and you can tell me if you've ever seen anything like this, Miles, but so last week, of course, we had Team South Korea finishing number 1 in the performance score rankings as France's opponent, and losing that match to France. France was able to take that win despite finishing 9th in performance score against their opponents finishing 1st. Chile, by contrast, finishing 6th against, and Indonesia finishing 14th.
Can't say I've seen something like that before, but, you know, that just goes to show how stats really aren't everything, and that's something that I actually want to bring up again with this map pool, because a lot of the skill sets are distributed differently this week. Like, for example, No Mod 2 in the last pool was like a typical No Mod 2. No Mod 2 in this pool is more of a speed map, like your typical No Mod 5, where the stream map has gone down in Free Mod. So if you want to make any predictions for that, like, typical No Mod 2 flow aim skill set, you now have to take into account each of these teams needs an HR and a hidden. But we've gotten into the ban phase now. France banning 2nd, Chile banning out No Mod 3, the creator, so that could be based off of stats actually on that. Chile actually had the lowest score overall on the No Mod 3 last week, which was Fken. Different type of map is this one. Not as easy, first and foremost, because Fken was the easiest map in the last pool by far. But this one also, I think, less finger control and more aim, but still opting to ban it out.
Yeah, so maybe, taking a look at those stats, taking a look at the feelings versus last week, and just saying, let's go with our worst map against those guys. It'd be funny to see France subsequently ban out the Free Mod 3, which I think is fairly different this week compared to last week's Free Mod 3. It's going to be the DT2 ban, however, coming out from Team France. So that is the 254 BPM, just endless tapping stamina pick. That's going to be removed from this matchup. And I don't believe that was not a map that either of these teams played last week. Like, really not much in the way of tapping from either of these two. So must just be a map that France doesn't like.
France did kind of have a third player syndrome going on the speed, and that's something that Chile is going to try to exploit in this match. I see them trying to pick the speed here because their core three is just exceptional at speed. Gonza, Alfiu, and Nikore. Definitely going to look to pick Nomad 2, probably the DT1 in this match. Maybe not the DT3. That map is an alt map, but France shouldn't be third playered on that.
Is going to be France's first pick in this one, so we'll be interested to see how they decide to start the match off. Last week, I believe, first picking the Nomad 1 in that matchup against South Korea. But this week, hey, you mentioned DT3, and they're not going to be third playered on it.
There it is.
As they go straight into it, they are out to prove that they're going to be the complete opposite of third playered on Carnival DT. And man, Miles, this one takes me back to HVIC in like, what, 2015, 2016, something like that. Maybe even earlier now that I'm thinking about it. The first DTFC on this map way back when. It's a classic flowy alt pick from the era of Vocaloid flowy alt maps.
Yep, this is one of my favorite maps in the pool personally. It's really fun. If you can read 10.3 and you like playing alt maps, just go play this. It's a really fun map. I looked at it and my thought was, this is with a dance number junior, and that's exactly what it is. It's a 0108 map, old Vocaloid song. And France is not going to be third playered on this. I'll say it again. Not any tapping in this whatsoever. The 381 BPM, you got to divide that by 2, and that's what the alt patterns are. So going to be playable, I think, for both of these teams. Kind of surprised to see France pick something like this first. I would have expected them to maybe go for an aim map first, but we'll see how they do.
Yeah, this is definitely pretty far from being aim, but we talked about coming into this, and I think this is going to be something that we'll probably revisit depending on how this match ends up playing out, but it really feels like a lot of this match, a lot of the maps in this pool are going to be kind of feeling like toss-ups. There's a lot of places where both these teams are going to be able to perform well. And, when you consider their past performance last week and you consider, the level the players are at in other tournaments and such, like, it just feels as though this will be a very unpredictable matchup. We could see a ton of breakpoints. We could see no breakpoints. We could go straight to tiebreaker. And it just wouldn't surprise me because it does feel like anything can happen in this one. And these two teams are going to be super evenly matched. And a map like this is a very interesting way to get going in the match and see if that ends up indeed playing out as expected.
And here we go. Gonza, Alfiu, and Fifi coming in for Chile up against Satsuki, Hifkill, and Musty on France's first pick, the DT3. Pretty average length map, 2 minutes 20 seconds, so combo will matter a lot out of the gate, but you're not too bad if you miss early. But there's an early break from Fifi along with an act drop.
Couple early breaks, Fifi and Hifkill. And yeah, the act indeed a little lower than you might want it on a couple of those players. Maybe we are going to see people being ever so slightly third playered. Hard to say. Couple early misses there from France, so to add on, it's Hifkill and Musty. And Satsuki, their only player holding on. Look at that accuracy on Satsuki, doing a very good job. Unfortunately, it's a double FC on Gonza and Alfiu still intact. As you mentioned, you've kind of got this star roster core for Chile, which Gonza and Alfiu are going to be a huge part of. Fifi is having some trouble, but Gonza and Alfiu more than making up for it. It's all eyes on Satsuki if you want France to have any chance at this one, but already that lead, 120k in favor of Chile. Their double FC still intact for the first KI.
And that score is going to go up exponentially fast with the DT multiplier, but in that same vein, if the breaks do come out from Chile's FCs, Satsuki will be able to take over, especially as Musty and Hifkill have brought their combos back. But into the halfway point of the map now, those breaks would need to come soon.
The lead's going to start to feel untenable, but there is the first big break for Chile. It is Gonza to go down into the misses. Excuse me, but it is still Alfiu on the full combo for them, so it is still matching with Satsuki, but You have the recovery combo to come in from Hifkill, not anymore, as Hifkill will fall next. So it's a 1v1. It's Alfie versus Satsuki, and that's going to favor Chile, who do have that 160k lead and then some. They've got room to play with, only a quarter of the map still to go, but if you come into the ending with a double FC, it's going to be favoring Chile, so you're going to still need a little help if you're France to try to avoid losing the first pick here.
Into the last eighth of the map here. Very high pressure situation for France. Fifi finds another miss, but the miss needs to come out from Alfiu. As you said, it's a 1v1. If Alfiu isn't the one to break, it's not going to matter for France as Musty goes down as well. And it looks like it is going to be the early break point for Chile.
And what a performance this is from one player per team. Alfiu and Satsuki going to bring in matching full combos here on the opening pick. What a world we live in, where we have Carnival DT in quarterfinals and 2 players FC it. How far we have come. But you also do have to give out the big shout-outs to Gonza on that second best score for Chile, 724k, and they really, needed a performance like that because Hifkill and Musty were pretty consistent there, 480, 470k. But Gonza making the difference, a very strong DT player in many different areas and able to provide the backing score they needed along with that FC. And it's an early break point for Chile. You mentioned them maybe wanting to opt into some of the tapping mechanics. We see them winning a DT, so we've got the DT1 available. We've got the No Mod 2 available, Free Mod 2 as well for any of the more tapping or higher AR, higher BPM focused picks here.
Huge performances from the Chilean wonder kid of past, Gonza, and the Chilean wonder kid of present, Alfiu. Really funny how that works. Both those players very young for their eras, but coming back now. Hidden 2 to be the pick for Chile. That is not nearly what I expected at all, because this is kind of a skill set I didn't know how to map out in my head. This is a kind of lower BPM, ulti, aim control style map, where I feel like I can't pin out a single player between these two teams that necessarily specializes in this type of thing, but all of them are quite good at it in their own right.
Yeah, this would have been a pick that I might have expected if this was a traditional low AR reading Hidden 2, right? Because Chile has, Gonza, for example, super strong in that skill set. But this is more of, kind of like a light tech, as you said. And it kind of feels to me like we're going, back-to-back picks in a similar vein where both teams should have multiple players, as you said, who are able to perform well on this. This is something that really both rosters will be able to put together, I think, a 3-man squad that should be set for a very competitive type of map. So interesting to see Chile not deciding to kind of push that skill set that we expected, and I think many others may have expected here, and instead going a bit of a different route here early on. And here's the thought too, Miles, what do you think this opens up? What's your strategy with the Hidden 2 pick here going forward if it does go well? Where does that take you afterward? Like, is there a strategy in mind they're trying to develop?
Honestly, there aren't too many parallels in the pool. You might even go as far to stretch it to say that this is the logical forward from DT3. You win one type of alt map, you go straight into another, although these two very different. I mean, going from AR 10.3 all the way down to AR 9.2. Like, if you're Gonza or Alfiu, you've got to leave the lobby and play the beginning of this so your eyes can be adjusted to the hidden and the approach rate. But after this, if you want to continue on this route, you kind of have, Black Glass, kind of, Free Mod 3. But that's a much different style of map from both of the two picks, so... I mean, I just say... Or I guess this is just the continuation from DT3, but... Really curious to see how this goes, because you're bringing in Thunder as well for France. And Musty, I think, will be more comfortable on this type of map with Hidden, rather than the 10.3 DT.
Yeah, it's a scary France roster, I think, for a map like this. Musty super strong on Hidden, kind of flowy stuff in general. Thunder just really good in general. You do bring in Nikore for Chile, so one player swap on either side. And away we go. Let's see what happens. Maybe we get another big pair score from Alfiu Gonza. Or, maybe France can find a roster on this one with one better backing score would be all they would have needed on the last map. See if the same thing happens here as we see Gonza, the early buzz slider break, I believe, assuming that was not a little erroneous miss from Bancho. And it's an early miss from Nikore as well. So this time it's France taking the early advantage right out the gate, though Musty to fall will temper that.
Pretty much the same length as the last map, just 5 seconds longer. So early breaks aren't going to put you out of it at all. But right now, the early advantage for France, up at around 30k. Very strong accuracy out of the beginning on Satsuki, once again, showing himself to be very strong on these alt maps. But he does find the break on the cut. So now Chile going to start to reel this one back in. 3 big combos alive. Nikore and Gonza reestablishing themselves with Alfeu still alive on the FC, matching Thunder. Meanwhile, France really relying on Musty's backing combo now as Thunder drops. But it's traded with Nikore and Alfeu, so now the only combos alive are Gonza and Musty. Just a 1v1 up there, but it leaves a 47k lead for Chile at the halfway point.
And you get the little break there. You get to reset heading into the spinner before you go into the back half of the pick. And this time we're watching the top of the screen. As you said, it's Gonza and Musty to hold the large combos. About 100 combo advantage for Chile. They'll bring that up more, though, as Satsuki and Thunder both miss in the little build-up, while Alfeu and Nikore hold on to the backing combo for Chile. And with Satsuki falling again, that's going to be big for Chile. They're building up the lead. There goes Musty. The biggest combo gone from France just like that. And Gonza now off to the races. Breaks on the linears, and it is just Alfeu with a combo for Chile. But it is only Thunder for France, and he is a couple hundred combo behind Alfeu. Looking good for Chile here, 200k plus into the last moments of the map. Looking like a strong first pick for the Chileans here to consolidate the break point.
Alfeu finally finding the drop, but he had already brought his score up to almost matching Gonza's, and it's like a much safer first pick than we would have anticipated for Chile, bringing up this lead to 260k-ish by the end of it, beating all the top members of France on this one.
That's just a solid team performance from Chile there. You've got the 611k Gonza, 560k Alfeu, and 400k Nikore. As you said, all three kind of beating out their opposite number by a decent enough margin for a comfy win on the pick. And yeah, that was definitely more Chile favored than I think we anticipated. I really thought that was going to be closely contested most, if not all the way through. But really, other than the early stumble from Chile, they got out to a lead shortly after that and held onto it and only built on it the rest of the way. And that's a couple of good first performances on the first two maps from Chile. The 2-0 consolidated breakpoint to start things off gets you really out in front, gets you a fair amount of momentum in a match that is, of course, first to 6 here. Now you can try to put the pedal down on your opponent's picks, but you can go on cruise control a little on your own. So it's going to be up to France to find an answer here after their first pick went quite awry. And the question is what that response might be.
I think I would go for a couple options here. As I mentioned earlier, I like France kind of picking aim in this matchup. Against a team of all-rounders, you could kind of... I see it as almost the USA effect, where, like, USA, all their all-rounders just don't like aim. But shouldn't apply that to another team. But here's HR2 to come out for France, actually. This... I really don't know what I think about this map as well, because there really wasn't a parallel to this in the previous map pool. There isn't a parallel to this in the qualifiers map pool. This map, it's just precision with a really insane amount of aim control as well.
Just to take a peek at last week, Chile played both Hard Rocks in last week's pool. They got third on Hard Rock 1, they got second on Hard Rock 2. Meanwhile, France didn't play either of them. So no compared Hard Rock scores, and as you said, not really the same type of Hard Rock maps last week as we're seeing here in this one either. So yeah, again, it's a situation where not a whole lot to judge by other than, kind of just what do we expect out of the players themselves on kind of this precision, snappy, consistent aim. As you were saying, right, you expect France to probably pick into some aim in this matchup at some point or other, given what we know about Chile's roster, given what we know about France's roster. But I would have anticipated that to be something more like the Nomad one or the Hidden one, rather than this Hard Rock 2. So this is, it throws a little bit of a curveball into the aim skill set, but it does, at the same time, kind of track at least a bit in that regard. And of course, Musty Hifkill, they know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two, and both of them going to be, I think, more than comfortable with playing a map like this.
Yeah, and I think you pick Hard Rock, I think, to actually put players like Hifkill and Lanc Noir, who just joined the lobby, more into their comfort zone. Two of them more HR player, I think, than Hidden player or Nomad player. So putting them in their comfort zone alongside Musty, who looks like he's just going to be perma-lobbying this match, could be good for France. Chile bringing in their HR specialist, Hana Yume, will come in for every Hard Rock map in place of... I've seen Hana Yume replace everybody in that core trio for Chile now. I was like, who does Hana Yume replace on the trio? But he replaces Nikore here. I've seen him replace Alphiu and Gonza on separate maps in the previous pool, so maybe just taking out whoever's least confident on any given HR.
We'll see if that maybe proves to be a difference maker. You bring in, your specialist for the precision pick on either side, and perhaps that one player can be an important one as it gets underway. No early breaks in the intro, so players are clearly comfortable enough with the outset of this map. And it really does jump into the kind of small snap aim consistency that it's known for pretty fast. It's going to be an early break there from Hifkill. Advantage to Chile. There goes Lanc Noir, the new player in for France on this map. Meanwhile, Chile, through the first third, Triple FC on the board, serving up a heaping helping of full combos, perhaps, on this pick. In the early goings, at least, it's once more going to be Chile. 100k to the lead. Gonza to fall the first, but still some room to play with.
This map is a lot shorter, though. Only a minute 50 seconds. And Musty finds the drop, and that's going to be most of the firepower gone for France here. Alphiu does trade it, but the HR specialist, Hana Yume, doing his job 3/4 of the way through, still holding the FC. Only Hifkill to bring up any backing support for France at 280 combo. But they're going to need Hana Yume to break literally right now if they want to have a break or a shot at the lead. Hana Yume aim looking shaky but still steady, holding on to the FC. Hifkill goes down, and is Hana Yume going to get the FC? No, he will not.
Indeed, no FCs to be coming, despite how well the first half of the map went, but this doesn't ever get easier. It gets to this difficulty and stays there, but it is nonetheless going to be a very solid lobby top score for Hana Yume. So the Hard Rock Precision Specialist comes in for Chile and does his job well. 735k, topping the lobby by 120,000 score to Musty. Back to 538 and 532 for Lanc Noir and Hifkill, both putting up decent enough results, but gotta have a little bit better performance, I think, from your specialist if you're France. You're bringing in, presumably, Lanc Noir as the new player on this map for the specialty skill set, and did not quite live up to the score that he would have needed to set for them to win that pick. And quickly, just like that, it's already 2 break points for Chile on 2 very different maps. You had the Flow Alt DT win on France's first pick, and then you have the Snappy Precision win on France's second pick. And in between those, you had, kind of a flowy, low BPM light tech win. And Chile just winning every skill set so far. We've seen 3 very different maps, and Chile winning them all without much care in the world.
Yeah, you have to have a different look, I think, for your next pick here if you're France. But Chile, gonna go right into the speed. They still have, I think, their main skill set to pick into, the DT1 here. 285 BPM, AR 10.3. This is their bread and butter, and they still got SpongeBob SquareWave in the Nomad pool for their more stamina-intensive speed pick. So they've got options left in the match. SpongeBob SquareWave, I love that map, dude. It's so good.
Oh, I can't get over that.
It's too funny, man. I don't know.
takes us back to USC 2024 with the jellyfish jam. Now we've got SpongeBob SquareWave. But yeah, so Chile, as you said, very prime skill set for them, bread and butter type of pick here with a pretty tapping heavy DT1. Do we need to talk about the aim in this at all? There is a decent amount of it, and it's a little bit uncomfortable, I feel. It's not super straightforward aim. There are some slightly wider angle jumps than you might be used to seeing in a standard DT1, but I don't think it's anything too crazy that they'll have trouble dealing with.
Yeah, I don't think so, but what I actually wanted to mention is that speed being sort of the unexplored skill set so far this match, I don't want to write out France on this pick at all, actually. They had some pretty good DT performances here, even if you might worry potentially about there being a third player syndrome here. You have players like Jap White and Hivkill who are really good at speed and could put up really good scores on this, where if Chile falters a little bit, they do have a chance on this one. And it's not over till it's over, even if they are down 3-0, but they've got to get through this. I mean, if they do lose this pick, they're down 4-0, and that's a really scary place to be in any tourney match.
Yeah, I generally, you kind of mark the halfway point of matches as kind of what you're looking out for. Where are we? What's the score when one team or the other reaches that 4th out of 6 points? Is it 4-3 or is it 4-0? And then, you kind of can tell what the situation is and make some judgments based on that. And right now it's just all Chile all the time. It is going to be, as you said, a roster from France that you have to rate pretty highly. We've seen what these players are capable of, 3WC as well as even OWC, right? We saw some pretty crazy DT1 scores from both Jap White and Satsuki there on, pretty high difficulty pools, obviously as befits the World Cup. So definitely a roster that you can't mess around with. Chile can't overlook their opposition on this just because the skill set feels good for them. But you've got Gonza, you've got Alfiu. You're going to be feeling pretty comfortable, at the very least, with your two real key core performers. But the map to play out, it's a decently long one. It's almost 3 minutes for a DT1. That seems decently lengthy. So plenty can happen any which way. So far, so good for everyone, though. It's 5 FCs on the board, and one one big combo through the first early stage of the pick.
Fifi, though, finds a break on the double there, right at the 1/4 mark before the first chorus section.
See what France can do with that advantage, and the answer is going to be not a whole lot, unfortunately. Satsuki will fall. That's their second FC gone, but it's Alfiu to trade on that longer burst tapping, and the lead to France to stay for now. Jap White holding on to the FC. Hivkill with the solid recovery combo. The accuracy not looking super great on Hivkill. Watch out for him on the tapping sections. However, the same is true of Fifi and of Alfiu, right? 94 and 95 act, not going to give the most confidence for those longer bursts at this high BPM. So keep that in mind as we go forward. Watch the accuracy, watch the comfort on the tapping. And there goes Hivkill right like that. Jap White to follow, and that's disaster for France, as Chile now has the FC on Gonza and a lot of backing combo on Fifi and Alfiu to bring that lead back over their way.
And in the blink of an eye, it goes. 80k lead disappearing for France. Just meteoring out on that section. And Chile will take advantage. Gonza still with the FC. Fifi does find the drop, but Alfiu has brought back a 500 combo to match Satsuki's. So Gonza's FC is just really free score gain for Chile right now. They need to see him break.
That just doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon. We do still have a little over a quarter of the map to go. It is not over till it's over. Lead still barely under 100,000 score. And with Fifi continuing to have a bit of trouble, it kind of leaves a bit of hope there for France, but they're going to need assistance from Gonza and Alfiu, I believe, at this juncture. 110k, Fifi really struggling, but it is just not important. There goes Satsuki. Jap White, Hivkill doing everything they can, but it's against an FC on Gonza, a humongous combo on Alfiu. And man, oh man, Chile looking strong in this match, brother. This is some quality Osu that they are playing. Gonzo with the choke at the end. Oh, he misaimed, I think, the Buzz Slider head there, which you just hate to see. But it's going to be a top score in the lobby nonetheless, and it's going to be a just about 170,000 score win there for Chile. The opening may have been there for France. It's an S rank on Japweight 750k and good scores from both Satsuki and Hifgil, but again, just not having that peak that they need. And Chile double consolidated break point 4-0, looking like a bit of a runaway train here.
Yeah, I mean, those breaks for France in the middle section, not even during one of the key eyes, that really just spelled their doom on that one. You can't have multiple players missing like that. Shades of what happened to... Okay, no, it's not even similar to that at all. What happened to Chile on the tiebreaker last week with the slow slider? No, that's not as troll as that, because the bridge sections on this song do have some difficult patterning. It's not impossible to break there. But those two slow slider misses on the TB last week, those were impossible. How did you miss that?
So, we take a moment to reflect here on this match so far. We're 4 maps in. We've seen 4 very different styles of maps, as we said. We'd seen 3, now we've seen 4. And Chile's looked good on all of them. They've won all of them. What is left for France? And I kind of feel like the answer is either Nomad 1 or Hidden 1. You just throw caution to the wind and you pick aim, because what else is working? The answer to that being nothing so far. I feel like it just has to be one of those 2 maps in my eyes. Thoughts?
One more skill set that hasn't been touched this match, it's reading. Nomad 4 and the Fremod 1 are the 2 low approach rate maps in this pool. Both have gone untouched, unbanned, unpicked. So, curious to see if they decide to go into that. Once again, I'll comment, I don't see any specialists for reading on either of these teams, but both with rosters that I think are good. I feel like you would need Musty to feel really good to pick Nomad 4 or Fremod 1, but it's gonna be the Nomad 1 finally picking the aim. But this map, as much as it is a Nomad 1, it's not necessarily your typical Nomad 1. A lot of awkward kick slider jumps, a couple weird streams in there as well. So this map isn't your comfortable Skyflame Kirigiri anime aim, but you've got some awkward patterning and the AR9 as well. So kind of a weird style of map, I would say.
Yeah, my take on this was that I don't know that I quite understand why this is Nomad 1 and the Hidden 1 is the Hidden 1. I feel like flipping those in my mind makes a lot more sense in terms of the skill sets. Like the Hidden 1 in this pool is just straightforward, plain aim, whereas this Nomad 1 has, you know, kind of the slightly lower AR factor of 9 versus like 9.3, 9.5, and it has the kind of awkward like kick slider jumps and stuff going on as well. It's an interesting approach to pooling the skill set to kind of swap expectations, but yeah, again, you know, it's just picking into a somewhat unexplored skill set. DT1, you know, Hard Rock 2 have like their sub skill sets, I suppose, but this is a little bit more straightforward. And this, if you're France, right, this kind of has to feel like your last gasp, because this may be your last pick in this match if you lose it and then Chile wins. So plenty to lose here if you're France, but you made 2 other picks and they didn't go well. So like, yeah, sure, let's just pick something very different, I guess, right?
Yeah, and if you're France, you're telling everyone who's not in the lobby right now to play SpongeBob Square Wave, because it feels almost certainly the next pick for Chile. But I actually like the map pooling philosophy, that where you kind of mix around where you put each style of aim, because it gets a little bit stale when you put like the AR9 awkward aim and hidden all the time, and the, you know, the comfortable, more conventional Nomad 1 thing in Nomad all the time. So just switching it up like that, we did it in OWC for a pool. It just, you know, it cleanses the palette a little bit for when you put 4 awkward aim maps in the next pool and hidden 1, so it's fine.
What stage was that with, was it like Jet Rocket or whatever? Was that semifinals or finals?
Yes,
Hidden 1?
It was,
where it was just
Jet
like
Rocket.
the most bland aim you've ever seen, but it was in a Hidden 1 instead of the Nomad 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the most basic aim in the entire tournament was a hidden pick. Nah, it's fine though. But we get into this Nomad 1 pick. Thunder Satsuki Musty trying to make sure that France get at least one more pick in this match. Nikore Hanayume Alphew trying to avoid that, and it's an early break from Hanayume, so We'll see what they can do to recover. They were the hero of the Hard Rock 2 with the top score in the lobby. Thunder with an early trade miss. So Nikore, Alfeu, 2v2, Satsuki, and Musty on a quite long, I think this might be the longest map in the pool, or it's at least up there, as kind of you expect of a No Mod 1. So plenty of time for the map to go any which way.
Very long one, I think longest map played this match so far by quite the margin. Only the break for Thunder, but still with the advantage in accuracy, actually giving them a lead, even though they don't have the three-way FC. But the difficulty is going to be mostly in these chorus sections here, as we find Hana Yume dropping a slider break. If you look closely, the slider takes are there, and they're pretty tricky, so you have to aim with intention to all of them. And France, so far, all three members holding strong through the Ki.
Very impressive first Ki performance there from France to have all three combos make it through, because as you said, it's just not easy. And there's a break from Nikore as well. Chile down to just Alfeu to hold. Meanwhile, it's double FC on Satsuki and Musty, and Thunder not all that far behind. And for the first time in what kind of feels like this entire match, it really is France with a definitive lead. It's 2 FCs and a big combo. 140k just about, and looking comfortable too. I mean, you watch the cursor movement, you watch the aim, you look at what they did in that first Ki, and this definitely feels to me like the most comfortable that France has looked on any map so far. As we head into this next Ki time, we'll see if that continues to be true with their lead up over 200k.
Yeah, this map just so tricky, but everyone just looks so poised. Hana Yume continues to drop. There's Thunder dropping finally the first big combo for France, but he was actually the reverse choke. So the 2 FCs still alive into these slow sliders. They get through the second Ki, only Alfeu, and as you said, finally it feels like France has a little bit of room to breathe in this match.
Your 300k lead, third of the map still to go, but I mean, what can Chile even do at this point? It would require a full reset from France and then some. And this is just, I mean, I'm just continuing to be impressed. Yeah, Thunder had the slider break there and kind of little miss on that awkward curve burst, but look at what Satsuki and Musty do. Look at the accuracy on those two as well as Alfeu. I mean, very, very impressive performances. Down goes Alfeu, down goes Nikore, and we can say with some degree of certainty now, this will not be a sweep. France will put their first point on the board in this matchup, and could this be the beginning of something as the teams start to kind of dwindle their picks down? You do still have the No Mod 2 for Chile, but other than that, a lot of the what feel very favored one way or the other have kind of been eliminated. Will that play to France's advantage? It certainly has gone well here, as the double FC coming into the last moments of the match from Satsuki and Musty will put quite the exclamation mark on this particular map outcome, as they get a point on the board now. Their first.
Both do miss on the ending, but this ending is really difficult, and 2.26 million on this and higher. This is a really good team score for France. I don't think we're going to see too many teams coming close to that this weekend. Really good stuff from Satsuki and Musty. And now for France, a lifeline. They can lose SpongeBob SquareWave and still have a way into the match, but actually Chile is not going to be picking that map. They're going to be staying in the Fremont pool, or entering the Fremont pool for the first time. Black Glass.
I get it, though. So if we cast our minds back a few picks, right? Chile went into that hidden 2 earlier, and it went pretty darn well for them. And as we said at the time, this kind of has vibes of being a bit of a continuation of that pick. It's not a direct correlation per se, but it does bring that kind of hybrid consistency tech into play. Chile has won on a hard rock, they've won on a hidden, so they've clearly got mod players for anything. I get where they're coming from with this, even though it does kind of surprise me to see them go with this over No Mod 2.
Yeah, it surprises me but it also doesn't, because Chile is just a really good free mod team. They got near top score or top score on the free mods last week. But France is also a pretty good free mod team. I really like their mod coverage. You put a guy like Hifkill on the Hard Rock. You put like Thunder on the Hidden. Musty no mod. Like, that's a really good roster on almost any sort of free mod map. It could also have Blanc Noir on Hard Rock as well. Like, it's a toss-up, but I said everything was a toss-up this match, and Chile has looked substantially better so far. So I'm just going to trust their pick here.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair way to approach this as well. Like, Chile has had two picks of their own and has looked quite good on both of them. So let's just assume they know what they're doing. I always like to give teams, the benefit of the doubt when it comes to their own picks. And I mean, look at this roster for Chile as well, right? You've got Nikore, Alfiu, Gonza. Like, you're not going to put together, I don't think, a stronger three-man for this team than that. So we will, I think, expect good things out of them. The way Gonza's been playing recently, I don't know if you've been watching, like, in Hippo Cup and stuff. That dude is on one, man.
He's
really
on a heater.
insane.
And, I don't want to talk about the prediction stream because I know we're going to get screenshotted on Twitter every time we mention it, but Gonza being in this form was the difference. I didn't know Gonza was back like this. I mean, in my eyes, it's like, oh, Gonza will play like one tournament. Doesn't really care. But this is peak form Gonza. This is an extremely scary player, has been on hidden duty for Chile. And we're going to see how he does on this sort of thing. Not traditionally his skill set at all, but he seems to be able to play almost anything these days.
Well, in we go, and left out in this discussion was that this is a pretty short map, sub 2 minutes, so every bit of combo counts. Every break feels like extra important if other players manage to hold, so watch carefully, hold your breath if need be. That hidden Hard Rock on Alfiu, Hard Rock on Blanc Noir, also a couple things to look out for, because I do think it's arguably maybe a little easier for the hidden specialists on hidden than for the Hard Rock players on their mod. But we'll find out. It's 6-way so far, a third of the way through, and it is Gonza to miss first. Satsuki trades immediately. Alfiu to follow up. That kicked off in a hurry. It's Thunder and Blanc Noir holding on for France against just Nikore for Chile. Blanc Noir goes down with a chain miss on the burst. Nikore to follow up. All right, it is Thunder trying to build a lead out here for France and falls, and it's just a lobby wipe. It's a lobby wipe with France ahead by 55k.
This is a really scary place to be right now if you're France. Just 55k of lead, but there's no combo on the other side to really fight against it. Alfiu has just 100 combo lead over Blanc Noir, and actually that's going to be stealing back the lead a lot quicker than I anticipated. Going into the last quarter of the map, Satsuki drops 10k lead for Chile. It's so close, but as long as they hold, it looks like they've got this one in the bag.
I don't know how the score did what it did there, but there goes Blanc Noir. That's a big miss. Alfiu continuing to hold on. Nikore, Gonza matching Satsuki Thunder. Satsuki goes down to match with Gonza shortly after, but that's right into the ending. And that escalated in a way that I don't know that I expected it to, with Chile taking the lead to the margin that they did. They're going to win this by almost 160k by the time it's done, on the back of a very impressive 666k from Alfiu, and the backing score 600k from Nikore on the Nomad. When you compare to his opposite number, Satsuki on 443k, man, that's pretty impressive stuff as well. And what, again, looked like an opportunity for France to try to pull one back just ended up with a door slamming in their face quite painfully. And Chile now 5-1 match points the rest of the way through.
Yeah, just really clutch performance from Chile there in the last quarter of the map, holding on to their combos when it mattered most. Alfiu again on the HDHR on free mod, actually just such a scary player on the hidden Hard Rock. Rare, I think, to see an HDHR player be so lethal on these free mod maps, but he has top scored so many of them between this weekend and last weekend. So really good stuff from him. But now France, their own pick now. They have the option of where to go in the pool next. And we mentioned Hidden 1, we mentioned Nomad 4, potentially Free Mod 1. I think you stick to those three maps. I don't think you want to pick something like Age of Tyranny. You don't want to pick the Hard Rock 1. But they are gonna pick Age of Tyranny. Okay, never mind. I don't know anything. So we're going with the conventional Floaim stream farm map.
Well, France no mod 2, except it's free mod 2. I'm trying to think here. I don't know what I think about this.
I do. The angle here is Hifkill rocks this map on HR because he's a stream player. Thunder rocks this map on Hidden because he's a stream player, and someone plays Nomad. That's what I think.
I trust you on that one. You know, the like raw speed tapping obviously feels pretty Chile favored, but something that's more just a traditional stream flow map.
Yeah, it's a different feel. You know, the more I think about it, the more I like this pick. Just because of what I said there. Like, their mod specialists are good at this type of thing. Like this is both of their farm skill sets. You see them both enter the lobby. This is how they rank up.
This is, I don't know. To me, I just feel like I have to watch this play out because I just don't know. Interestingly, a bit earlier today in Hippo Cup, we did see a team with a couple of these French players on it, last picking a stream map and closing out a match on it. That was their team. There has Hifkill as well as Satsuki and Musty, which is kind of a funny intersection of players. And they waited and waited and waited and waited, despite having been up 6-1 at one point in that match, and finally picked the stream map and won the match 8-5 off the back of that. So knowing that, let's just say France, with some of the same players, knows what they're doing and should have picked this sooner instead of giving up the 2 early break points. I don't...
Well, we'll say that. And yep, it's Age of Tyranny, 3.5 minutes, 200 BPM, circular flow the entire way through. Hanayume on the Hard Rock, Gonza on the Hidden, Nikore on the Nomad against Hifkill HR, Thunder Hidden, Satsuki again on the Nomad. We'll hope to atone for his Black Glass performance by putting up a good run on this with Nomad.
This is that type of map, you know, where you're either FCing or you get like 10 misses, I feel, especially on the mods. I mean, that's just circular flow in a nutshell, right? If you break, it's a chain miss a lot of the time, especially, you know, Hard Rock with the spacing or Hidden with the flow, you know, kind of reading element. So watch carefully and aim carefully if you are the players in the lobby. And so far, so good. Are we worried about Nikore, 97 AC, Hanayume, 97 AC versus France, SS 1x100 and high 98 AC?
I don't think we're worried until we see a break, but there's Gonza on the Hidden. First break finally goes out for Chile, but that's not even the player either of the players you just mentioned with the low accuracy. Nikore and Hanayume still going strong up against the three-way from France.
Just nothing happening. France is just holding the most casual three-way of your life, as if this were a 4-star pick in a 6-digit pool. That's how difficult this is for them so far. Absolute chillin', 170k score lead.
I'll say, if you're good at flow aim or streams or this type of map, it almost feels like you're driving a car. Like, you enter a flow state, and it's like, once you're in that flow state, you're just so locked in. Just look at Hifkill, 99.9%. He's played this exact map a million times on different songs. He is so ready for it.
And you're starting to get to that point in this map where, like, yeah, technically anything can still happen, but it's 220k unless France completely fall apart in the last quarter. It really is pretty much done and dusted. It doesn't have like the gigantic diff spike, huge, huge spacing pattern anywhere relevant. And there goes Hana Yume. That's the second to miss for Chile. Nikore still holding on to the FC, but it's just not going to matter. I'm not going to say it, but this is let's just say this is an impressive performance from Team France.
Okay, here's the big stream. It kills Thunder, but oh my goodness, Hifkill. Hifkill might be getting the 3WCPP record right now, by the way, because this accuracy is insane.
Yeah, this is ludicrously impressive from Hifkill on that side now. I'm just gonna do a quick. Okay.
Last stream.
Well, couple late hundreds, and he misses at the end. The very last spacing stream. Unfortunately, Hifkill not able to close out the FC. 5 misses straight at the very end. Very unfortunate to see that happen. And I'm going to do a quick little peek here. That is 2448 combo. So even like that, that's still 683 PP. That's not too shabby. And Satsuki, by the way, drops the FC, 5 100s, Nomad versus Hard Rock, hence the emphasis on Hifkill's score, but you can't discount Satsuki dropping the FC on that, because that is also very, very impressive.
And now we know why we shouldn't question teams' picks, because they were very good at that map. This was definitely the right pick for the situation, but now still down match points Chile, and they've still got their SpongeBob SquareWave in the pool, but you might start to question that pick right now, actually. Even if the BPM is still higher enough to be considered, maybe a speed map versus a stream map, but compared to the other quote-unquote speed maps in the pool, it's still lower BPM. Like, that map 232, is that really out of the range of these French stream players?
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma, I think, if you're Chile with this pick. Now, one thing I will consider, though, Chile has 2 picks left, no matter what. Wow, okay, well, they nipped that one in the bud. They're going to go the Hard Rock one. So maybe you're onto something there. They don't feel quite confident enough in what they may be able to do versus what France is capable of on that map. And so they're just going other directions. I'm surprised to still not see it, but more of the sort of tech or tech-adjacent skill sets. Everybody's favorite phrase, mech tech, kind of coming to mind on this one. A little bit aimy, little bit of sub-tapping. Those couple of little, like, 1/3 wiggles, they can catch you off guard if you're not careful as well. So, a few different elements of this one coming into play.
I think this is a good pick for Chile. I mean, they won the HR2. Their HR players have just generally looked good this match. I mean, you're putting Alfiu and Gonza and Nikore in their comfort zone. Meanwhile, France, Langue Noire hasn't been having that great of a match. You're taking Hifkill, who just had a great performance on that Fremont 2, and maybe putting him on a different style of map. You bring Musty back in the lobby, has been having a decent match, but not the best one. I think this is a good place to try to close out the match if you're Chile.
They've really not been anywhere near giving up a break point, I feel. I mean, I guess 159k on the Fremont 3 constitutes relatively close. So I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It's 170k and 159k as the margins on their last 2 picks. So maybe they've been relatively close. It just always felt like they had their noses in front regardless. And so, again, it's just continuing to kind of trust in your picks, even if those picks aren't to the Nomad 2. And it's a no Gonza map, worth noting, but it is a Hana Yume map who's been playing well. Nikore Alfiu, of course, consistently solid as well. So, well, we're making our way through the pool. There's less and less available. There's fewer and fewer maps remaining. Let's just go Hard Rock 1 and see what happens. It is another one of those maps that feels like any given player can carry it. Either team can win it. But Chile has not dropped a break point yet in this match, and hoping to continue that trend to close it out.
This map really holds no punches. Starts intense, stays intense for the entire map. I think the most difficult part is going to be the ending Ki. So you want to hold your combo through this beginning as long as you can. And Satsuki's going to find the first drop for France, and Musty's going to find one right after. This is starting to really fall out of reach pretty quickly for them in the first quarter as Chile continues to hold their three-way.
Alfie Hanayume looking to build an unassailable lead into the more difficult ending portions of the pick. Hanayume does fall. It's traded with Musty, but that is worse for Chile than for France. Hifkill still holding the FC to match 1, and Satsuki only 100 combo behind the FC player, so not anything crazy. Musty, though, struggling a little bit more than you would certainly like him to be if you are hoping for a French comeback in this match. As Nikori Alfiu continue on that double FC, it's going to give Hanayume just a little bit of room to play with to try to make up a bit of an advantage on his opposite number of the players who have broken. Into the last third we go. Score lead 150k for Chile, but that can flip quickly. Not going to flip quickly, though, as Satsuki breaks, and it's only Hifkill left. Still Alfiu Nikori holding the double FC down for Chile, looking to make this happen. 300k, but there goes Nikori. I think the time might be dwindling too quickly.
Yep, there's no time left. Alfiu getting through that with the FC. Hifkill finding the drop. Hanayume with the 500 combo getting through the ending Ki. Chile is going to get to the semifinals on the winner's side. They're going to be securing their guaranteed top 6, silencing all the doubters in a definitive victory over France, 6-2.
Just impressive from pretty much start to finish from Chile. 2 break points and 4-1 picks, I believe. I'm recalling correctly. Close it out with the FC on Alfiu. It's just a good team-wide performance. As Satsuki saying there in the chat, you guys are so good, what can we do? And really, it does kind of feel that way. Chile was just better at the important portions of this match, getting those break points, winning their own picks, and just getting the job done to move onward into the semifinals. They look good, man. They're really living up to that number 3 seed that they earned in qualifiers, and they'll get a matchup next week against the winner of Hong Kong or Australia. Chile, man, it's gonna take a lot to beat these guys if they keep performing this well.
Yeah, I mean, they're so well-rounded, and that's something you typically struggle to find when you have a 5-man roster, but their players are just so good at getting through every style of map. There's not really a specific weakness you can pick into them that can't just be banned out. Like, you ban out a super reading pick if you're Chile, and then after that, you've got everything left in the pool at your disposal. They just look so strong, and that core roster, man, it's tough to beat that.
Indeed. For their part, France, you know, by no means a bad team, not a weak team. They will go down to the losers bracket. They'll face off against either Iberia or Austria-Hungary next week, which will look like a pretty winnable matchup for them. That match hasn't already been played, has it? No, they are still awaiting that one. And so both these teams, you know, Chile gonna have high hopes in the winner's semis. France gonna make their way through losers, I'm sure, very competitively. This is our last match of the day for today. Just the 3 on this opening Saturday of quarterfinals week. Tomorrow, though, 5 remaining matches in the day, and it is going to start off with that match between Hong Kong and Australia. So if you're up at 12 UTC tomorrow, you will be able to quickly find out who Chile's opponent in the winners semis will be the week after. That'll be followed up 13:30 UTC, Philippines, Russia. Miles, 3WC feeling pretty competitive this year. A lot of these teams looking really strong. I'm excited.
Yeah, as predicted, man. I mean, it felt like we had a pretty definitive top end, but in the middle, man, all of these teams are so competitive, and I'm really looking forward to the latter half of this tournament.
That is going to do it for us for today. It's going to be congratulations once more to Chile. Best of luck to both these teams in their next matches in the coming weeks. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here for this Saturday of 3WC action. As mentioned, we will see you guys tomorrow, 12 UTC, for day 2 of this round. I've been T1G. He's been Miles. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. See you on Sunday.